Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to show you how I knitted this neck warmer. So if you would like to see how I did that, just keep on watching. So here is the yarn that I used and the knitting needle that I used. I used two, that is 3mm, and one that is 2.5mm. The yarn that I used is some wool yarn just because I wanted it to be extra warm. So first off, we're going to cast on the stitches. So you're going to pull the yarn so you have a couple of meters, maybe just 1.5 meter, and then you're going to make a little knot. Like I'm showing you here. And then I take my 3mm knitting needle and put that into the loop. So now we're ready to cast on the stitches. So this is just the way that I do stitches. You can do stitches in many different ways. This is just the way that I have learned it. So I have all my stitches and I'm ready to knit the first row. So this is going to be the right side of your work. So we're going to do a purl stitch. Going to do 4 of those. Just like this. And then we do 2 knit stitches. Just like that. You can see the pattern for the first row here on the screen. Now in the end of the row with the last stitch, you're not going to knit it, you're just going to put it on the needle. Just to make a cleaner edge. And then you're going to knit it like a purl stitch. I'm going to show you here. And we're going to do this in the end of and the beginning of every row. So this is the back side. And there's going to be a lot of knit stitches. And we're only going to change the pattern on the front side. So on the back side we're just going to do a copy of what we just did. like you can see here. It's exactly the same as on the other side. And we're going to do that every time we do the back side. So now we're at the end of the row number 2. I'm just going to show you to do the edge one more time. Just like that. So now we're just going to do some purl stitches, 4 and 2 knit stitches, and then 16 purl stitches to get to the middle of our pattern. And it's only going to be in the middle that we do changes. So the 2 side parts with all of the purl stitches is just going to be the same. Now we do 2 knit stitches. And now we're going to work the pattern. So we do 1 purl stitch. And now you can see here we have 1 knit stitch. We have 4 of those. And then we're going to turn to make our cables. So the first here we're going to turn to the left. And that is why we're going to take the stitch and put it on our helping needle, and then hold it in front of our work, and then knit 1 stitch, and then we just put it back on, and then knit the stitch so it gets turned to the left. It's really difficult to see in the beginning, but after doing a couple of rows of this pattern, you're going to be able to see it. So now we're just going to do 2 more purl stitches, and we're going to do the exact same for the next cable. So this is also going to be turned to the left, so we're going to pull it in front of the work, and then knit 1 stitch and just cast it back on. Just like that. That was the first 2 cables. Now the next 2 is going to be turned to the right. So you're going to knit 2 stitches. And this time we take the stitch before the cable and put it on our helping needle, and then hold it back on our work, and then knit the cable. And this is how you turn them to the right. And then knit the stitch. And we're going to do the same with the last cable. So now we turn all our 4 cables. Now we're just going to knit the rest of the row, just doing purl stitches over purl stitches and knit stitches over knit stitches. So now we're done with the row number 3. For row number 4, you're going to do the back side. I'm just going to knit it by doing knit stitches above knit stitches and purl stitches above purl stitches. So a replica of what we just did. And we're going to do that every time we do the back side. Just do the same stitches, no changes. I'm going to meet you back up in the end of the row number 4. So now we're going to start row number 5, and I'm just going to knit into this place in the middle, because this outer place is just going to be the same. It's only in the middle of our work that is going to be changes. So here we are in the middle of the pattern, row number 5. Going to turn our cables. The first 2 we're going to turn to the left, doing the exact same that we did in the row before, in row number 3. And the next 2 we're going to turn to the right. So now we're going to knit the rest of row number 5 and row number 6, and then the beginning of row number 7, and I'll meet you back here. So now we're at row number 7. Going to turn our cables again. The first one is the same. Now the 2 in the middle is going to cross. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the first cable and take that stitch and then hold it in front of the work while knitting the other stitch, and then putting the stitch back on your working needle, and then the crossing is actually done. So that is how you cross 2 cables. It's really easy. So this is how it looks when it's been crossed. It's really easy to do. Just gonna keep turning our 2 first cables to the left and our 2 second ones to the right. But now we're going to knit the rest of row number 7, row number 8, and the beginning of row number 9 until you are in the middle. And then make it back up there. So here I'm just going to show you how you're going to continue with the pattern. So now we're going to do the rest of row number 9, row number 10, and the beginning of row number 11. And then we're going to be crossing the next 2 cables. So now I'm going to do the rest of row number 11 and row number 12 and the beginning of 13. And I'm going to show you the pattern in the middle of row number 13. Now I'm going to continue taking this one out to the right until there's only 1 stitch left, and this one to the left until there's not 1 stitch left. And also you're going to turn the 2s in the middle. So you're just going to mirror the part that we already have. So keep that in mind while knitting on. So this is what it looks like when you've done that. So this is actually the end of our pattern repeat. As you can see here, it is mirrored. So you're just going to start over and do the row number 1 again. And just copy that. So you're just mirroring what we just did. Until you have your piece is as long as you want it to be. So now I've finished with the first part of my neck warmer. This is how long I chose it to be. I'm just gonna show you where I stopped. But it really doesn't matter how long you make it, that's totally up to you. So now we're going to be making the shoulders. So we're going to have 30 to close in the middle. So that means we have 17 stitches to knit on each side, which is going to be our shoulders. So first off here, I'm just showing you me knitting the first 17 stitches before closing the 30 in the middle. Now we're going to close 30. So you're going to just normally knit the first 2, and then you're going to pull the back loop over the other one, like I'm showing you. The first one is a bit difficult for me right here, as you can see, but it really isn't that difficult to do. Just like that. I'm just going to show it a couple more times. Just going to do the same thing until there's 17 stitches left. Go ahead and close 30 stitches. So now we're done closing the 30 stitches in the middle of our work. So we're just going to knit 17, which is going to be the shoulder that I'm going to show you how to do. So now for the first row, we're going to close 2 stitches. So you just want to knit it as we normally would until there's 4 loops left. And then we're going to knit 2 and 2 together, just like I'm showing you here. Just like that. And that is how you close the stitch. So for row number 2 of the shoulder, we're just going to be knitting all of the stitches like we normally would on the back side. And in row number 3, we're only going to close 1 stitch. So just knit the stitches until there's 2 stitches left. Just like that. Row number 4. The back side again, so we're just going to knit all of the stitches. Row number 5 is going to be exactly like row number 3, so we're just going to close 1 stitch towards the neck. So knit all the stitches until there's 2 loops left and knit them together. Row number 6. Knit all of the stitches. And row number 7. Close all the stitches. So just gonna close it in the same way that I showed you with the closing to the neck. So now the first shoulder is done, so you just want to repeat that on the other shoulder as well. And after that we're going to make one piece that's exactly the same. So I've just done that. I'm going to put them together like this, so the right side is on the inside. And then I'm going to pin them together in the shoulders, so we can sew them. You can sew them together by just hand sewing them, and you can also sew them together on sewing machine. So I just sew them together, and now we're going to do the neckline, and we're going to do rib stitching, and I'm going to need a circular needle, and it is 3 millimeters thick. So first I just made a little knot to get started of casting on the stitches. So I just pull in the knitting needle randomly to pull out the yarn. It can be a little difficult, so you can use a crochet hook to create the loops, like I'm showing you here. Just want to continue doing this all around. So I just did that, and you want to make sure you have an equal number because you're going to do rib stitching. So now I'm just going to pull my knitting needle. So now we're going to do 2 knit stitches and 2 purl stitches and repeat that sequence all around. And doing this with a long needle, you're just going to knit as many as you can, and then just simply just pull the needle like this, like I'm showing you. And this way you can use a really long circular needle, even though you're working a few stitches. So now I just finished the first row. So now for the next row and the next many rows, you're just going to do knit stitches above knit stitches and purl stitches above purl stitches. And that is how we create the rib stitch. And you can do this for as many rows as you like. I did 23 rows. Well, that is totally up to you how many you will want to make, how long you want your neckline to be. So when that is done, you're just going to close it off like I'm showing you here. Doing it the same way that we close the other stitches. And then the last step is just to, if you like, my yarn was curling up a bit in the sides because I'm using a wool yarn. So I chose to crochet, just single crochet along the edge of my work. And when you're done doing that, your work is completely done. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial. I think this piece came out really beautifully. And I want to just thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you next Thursday. Bye!